Morning, folks. Thanks for tuning in. Hope y'all doing all right today. So, I've had like this weird thought rolling around in the back of my head, and I haven't completely figured out exactly how I want to phrase the question. So, one thing to understand is, pardon me, whatever I say here, I'm not trying to be offensive. I'm trying to figure something out. So, when I forget the name of the hurricane that just recently hit Florida, there were lots of people that lost literally everything they had, or the majority of what they had, whether it was their business, their house, their cars, their livelihood, their job that might have gotten destroyed, whatever. Well, the presidential administration stated that, they were allocating so much money for rebuilding and aid efforts down there, which that's kind of their job. And I want to say it was Kamala Harris that said that they were going to do it based on equity and diversity or something like that. And the rough translation is that they were going to prioritize ethnic and racial minorities in getting this aid and helping them out. Now, not attempting to be offensive here, but that confuses me a little. Here's why. Okay, beachfront property is inherently expensive. If you're someone that's on the bottom end of the income spectrum, regardless of your race, you're not buying beachfront property. And if say you had $1 million and you just barely scraped by to buy your beach house and pay the property taxes, but you did it. Well, you're hurting just as bad as everybody else is, because guess what? End of the day, whether you were a millionaire and that was all you had to live in, or whether you were slumming in a old RV, you lost your residence. So both people are hurting equally. It's just the insurance the money required to give both people what they lost is different, but they're both hurting the same. Why do they get treated differently? I don't understand that, and I don't understand, in the workplaces, I don't particularly understand the idea of diversity hires on things, because, okay, if you want everything to be equal, that's 100% okay. The one thing to realize, though, is that we can only equalize today. In the future, we cannot equalize yesterday. So if you want to even up the playing field, and hey, if you meet the qualifications for this job, this college, this career path, this lucrative deal, you meet the qualifications, great, you're qualified. Put you in the pool of candidates, start doing some interviews, and see who we think personality-wise is the best fit for whatever position, whether it's a college position or a job position or whatever. I don't understand why some people have to be dragged down, so to speak, in order to elevate others. Again, looking at past injustices, I understand the drive to make everything as fair as possible and to attempt to right all the wrongs. I get where that comes from, and to a certain point, I can even respect the hope in equalizing all things. But is it right to punish people who may or may not have done anything, or whose relatives may or may not have done anything, to elevate others whose relatives may or may not have gone through anything, historically speaking? And again, I'm not attempting to be offensive here. If someone has a reasonable comment to leave an attempt to explain why it is the right thing to do, you can explain why it's fair. But fair isn't always the best thing. As an example, is it fair that I enact my own justice? Or is it right that I enact my own justice? So, what do I mean by that? Okay, so someone runs a stoplight and injures or kills one of my family members while we're driving in the car. Okay. What would be fair is that after the dust is settled from all that, is that I just get to injure or kill one of their family members. They know my pain. Their family knows my pain. That's fair. Is it just, though? Why are we doing that now? Yes, there's a fairness to elevating people up and to lifting people up out of generational poverty and despair and everything else that comes along with that. But is it right to shove other people down in order to achieve that goal? Especially if everyone in the situation is guiltless. My opinion, broadly speaking, I think that the barriers for entry to a thing should be the only thing that determines if you get in or not. The test should be blind as far as I'm concerned. As an example, looking at higher education, if you score well on your SATs, your skin color shouldn't matter at all, and whatever SAT score you've got to have to get into Harvard, Yale, or Princeton, if you made that score, you should get your choice. If you didn't, there are other wonderful colleges that aren't necessarily at the top 1% of colleges where you can go get a decent education and where you can land a great job. Matter of fact, the majority of millionaires never went to the most elite Ivy League schools. So a degree from Harvard or Yale shouldn't be the ultimate goal if you're attempting to walk down the path to success. Just the thing I don't understand. I think we should attempt to elevate everybody equally and give everybody the same paths forward. And everybody has heard some of the rags to riches stories that are everywhere throughout history, regardless of race or gender. So I don't understand why we're playing to that. If someone is capable of one of those stories, if the drive, motivation, and ability to learn the skill set to do that is within them, we should open up every door possible to allow them to succeed, for sure, regardless of their skin color. Something to think about, folks. Thanks for tuning in. I'll catch y'all next time. Have a good one. Stay safe. Stay sane. You know it's Big Smooth.